Hello people, Juba Ambassador again doing this thing. As usual, I like to jump on these topics, react to these videos, drop my opinion. And also, I hope that you drop your opinion in the comment section. Tell us what you think. And yeah, I have this video which is talking about our founding fathers. I know my title is going to be shocker when I say our founding fathers failed us. Technically, they did because the objective they're trying to attain, they didn't get. We are still so much in bondage, or maybe as much, maybe even worse.
The challenge of Nigeria as a free state in 20th century Africa is the need to revive the stature of man in Africa and restore the dignity of man in the world. Nigerians believe passionately in the fundamental human rights. We regard all races of the human family as equal. Under no circumstance shall we accept the idea that the black race is inferior to any other race. I call upon Alhaji Amadou Bello, the Sultan of Sokoto, to join us in this Herculean task of national reconstruction. I exhort Chief Obafemi Awolowo to associate with us. In this great adventure of restoring the dignity of man in the world. There are many leaders who can give active support and assistance to our nation at its supreme hour of need. Chief Samuel Ladoke Akintola, Dr. Michael Ihanukara Okpara, and Samuel Grace Ikoku, and then Chief Dennis Chukwude Oserebe, Malam Aminu Kanu, Malam Ibrahim Imam, and J.S. Taka of northern Nigeria, and countless others. I appeal to all our leaders, far and near, to forget the wounds which were inflicted in cause of our internecine altercations. The love of our country should outweigh the love of our petty selves. The enjoyment of individual freedom under the law should mean more to us than our self-centered party programs and manifestos. Common dangers and common enemies alert us on the need for common security. The British came here in 1851 and found us hopelessly divided in tribal compartments. When Britain transferred power to us on 1st October 1960, we were no longer an expression of geography, but a reality of history. During all our years of political vassalage, we became socially and economically integrated. We have also developed an identity of interest, and we have crystallized common nationality. The process of political integration reached its zenith at midnight on 30th September 1960, when we lastly sang our national anthem, and our national flag was hoisted aloft to signal the birth of a new nation. Come and join Abubakar with me, Sardauna, Awolowo, Akintola, Oserebe, Okpara, Ikoku, Aminu Kano, Ibrahim Imam, and Taka. Let us bind the nation's wound, and let us heal the breaches of the past, so that in forging our nation, there shall emerge on this continent a hate-free, fear-free, and greed-free people who shall be in the vanguard of a world task force whose assignment is not only to revive the stature of man in Africa, but to restore the dignity of man in the world.
But I feel like it was not their fault. But if they were leading us to succeed, then we failed. It's their fault. So yeah, there are those double edges to it. But just jump on my reactions to it. As I said most of the time, I'm not talking about this video. I'm just saying what I thought when I saw the video. First, it's like, how can we learn from the past? So it's as I keep on hammering on these issues of the critical mass. Some people might not see in the same direction with me. For me, it's very important. If that's the last thing I do, if that's the only thing I do, if I can confidently see a certain critical mass growing and thriving, I can be optimistic that we're going in the right direction. But even if we have change and there's no critical mass to sustain that change, the change will still just crumble because the people in the system are still thinking backwards. So for me, the first thing when it comes to why our leaders failed is because they didn't ensure a critical mass. They didn't have a critical mass to build upon. They thought that their great ideas were just going to suffice, but it doesn't work that way with human beings. Nope, it doesn't. The next thing is they had the best intention, as I said, but they didn't present it in the right way. By presenting the right way, I mean human beings always need some level of sugarcoating. In fact, if you look at the Maslow pyramid, you channel information to every segment of the population based on where they find themselves in the Maslow pyramid, if that makes sense. So when you just do you massively communicate those things, massively enforce those rules to everybody the same way almost, making those public should I call it discourse, where you say almost everything and there's no strategic agenda behind the scene. Everything can be misconstrued because everything is out there. The next thing is they all had the best intention. They all had great ideas. I mean, when I talk of great ideas, the first person that comes to mind is Thomas Sankara. That guy had ideas that were 10 years down. No, what I'm talking about, 50 years down the line. We are not, no African country has even caught up to what Sankara was thinking about. The level of economic independence, the level of, should I call, human rights he had in mind, the level of economic independence, the level of political independence, the level of emancipation of women, which Sankara had in mind. People, though, we don't study those things in school, but I feel like we should actually study some of these guys like case studies. But no, instead we're studying about Louis XIV, this revolution. They talk about Sankara in passing. Those are people that we should actually study. There should be case studies on Sankara, what he actually stood on. No African country has caught up what Sankara had in mind. Like I said, they definitely had great ideas. They definitely had great intentions, but where they failed was a critical mass to build upon. You cannot just light fire in the air, meanwhile firewood is scattered everywhere, and yeah, it's not going to burn. So, I've said they had great ideas, best intentions, but lack of critical mass was the cause of their failure. I also feel like the African social contract was breached by them, because the African society had already been, the function of African society had already been disrupted before they were put in power. So they never had a society to build their social contract upon, if that makes sense. So they were bound to fail because it was not the typical system of kings are answerable to the local council. Every house head is represented in the local council, and then maybe the chiefs are now answered to the paramount chief or something like that. They disrupted all of these social constructs, and the social contract was built upon those lines. So when you as a president came in place, unless your power could be enforced by maybe an army, or most of the time an army, if you wanted to come with very open-minded kind of ideas, it was going to lead to chaos because there was no social contract to build upon. So most of the time I just tell people like, yeah, we should learn from the errors of the past, how the forefathers failed and why they failed. And what the conclusion I always draw is to build a critical mass. The critical mass is the solution to all of these problems. And when we have a critical mass, it will be almost the path of least resistance, or the easiest direction to go to will be moving ahead. Without a critical mass, we'll keep turning around the desert like the Israelites, 40 years, trying to look for the promised land. But we're on the promised land, but we cannot see the promised land because we don't have a critical mass. As usual, it's your boy Ambassador. Like, share, subscribe, drop your comments in the comment section. Your opinion matters. I'm out.
Just my opinion.